What happens when a social media influencer mom's obsession with content almost costs her child's life? This is the raw, unfiltered story of a mother who learned the hard way that some moments aren't meant to be filmed, they're meant to be lived. The morning sun spilled golden light over the glossy hood of a brand new SUV parked in a suburban driveway. Birds chirped in the background as if in anticipation. A ring light was already set up beside the garage, its reflection gleaming in the car's tinted windows. Inside the house, Sierra James, a 32-year-old beauty and lifestyle influencer, adjusted her camera for the fifth time. Dressed in a matching floral outfit with her 5-year-old daughter Mila, Sierra flashed a wide smile. "All right, fam," she chirped into the camera. "Today is the ultimate mommy-daughter road trip content day. We're heading to Crystal Lake Resort, yes. The one you guys voted for, and trust me, it's going to be so aesthetic, you'll want to pack your bags too." She turned the phone toward Mila, who was sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, playing with a plush unicorn. The little girl looked up and offered a practiced wave. "Say hi to the fam, honey." "Hi, fam," Mila said softly, barely looking at the phone. Sierra chuckled, brushing a lock of perfectly styled hair from her face. "She's camera shy today, but don't worry, the vibe check will hit her soon." Moments later, they were outside. Sierra set the camera on the tripod to capture their departure shot. She buckled Mila into the back seat while continuing to narrate for the vlog. "Okay, snacks, check. Outfits, check. Cozy playlist, double check. And of course, I got my oat milk latte because, hello, priorities." She adjusted the dashboard phone holder, turning the camera inward to catch her smile as she climbed into the driver's seat. She was too busy hyping the moment to notice Mila's seatbelt hadn't clicked in properly. Click! The engine roared to life. The SUV pulled out of the driveway with a sense of adventure in the air and one small mistake already in motion. The freeway stretched out endlessly, framed by rolling hills and scattered billboards. Sierra kept one hand on the wheel and the other occasionally holding her phone for different camera angles. "Y'all, look at this sunlight. It's giving golden hour and it's not even noon. Mila, show them your outfit, sweetie." In the back seat, Mila lifted her arm shyly. The strap of her seatbelt had slipped slightly over her arm, but she didn't say anything. She was used to long drives and even longer filming sessions. Sierra turned up the music, the speakers thumping softly with an indie pop beat. Her dashboard was covered in pastel organizers, snacks, lip gloss, and a diffuser misting lavender into the air. She went live. "Hey fam, we are officially on the road. We've been driving for like 40 minutes, and I'm obsessed with this playlist. We're vibing so hard right now. Drop your favorite road trip snacks in the chat." Comments began to flood in. "Looking gorgeous as always. Mila is so cute. Be careful while filming and driving." Sierra laughed off the last one. "Don't worry, I'm a pro. I've been doing this for years. Safety first, obviously." But even as she said it, she turned the camera slightly to catch her reflection in her designer sunglasses. She tilted her head, angling for the perfect side profile selfie, while the car hummed along at 65. An hour later, they pulled into a quaint roadside parkone of Sierra's pre-selected locations for a midway picnic shoot. "Okay, fam," she said, aiming the camera at the basket and blanket she'd set up under a tree. "This is giving me life. Look at that lighting. Mila, come here, let's show them your snack review." Mila trudged over, holding a juice box. "Tell them what you think of the strawberry crackers." "They're good," she murmured, blinking against the sun. Sierra wasn't happy with the take. She redid it. Twice. After the third take, Mila sat down and rested her head on her mom's thigh. "Tired already?" Sierra said, brushing her hair back. "Aw, my little sleepyhead. Just one more video, okay? Then we'll go." The child nodded silently. Back on the road, Sierra resumed filming, this time with the phone mounted on the dash. She began a Q&A while driving. "Someone asked how I manage work-life balance. Honestly, it's all about scheduling. Mila and I are like a team, right, baby?" No answer. She glanced in the rearview mirror. Mila had slumped slightly, her body leaning to the side. The belt had slipped further down, almost at her waist now. Still, Sierra didn't notice. Instead, she shifted the camera to capture a sunlight-through-window aesthetic shot, complete with a subtle filter. She smiled to herself, imagining the engagement this post would get. The speedometer crept up. The playlist switched to an upbeat remix. Trees blurred past the window. And then it happened. A delivery truck ahead slammed its brakes suddenly. Sierra's eyes widened. She hit the brakes hard. Time slowed. The seatbelt pulled tight across her own chest butt, not Mila's. There was a sharp thud. Mila's small body flew forward with a cry, striking the back of the passenger seat. Sierra screamed. The car veered slightly before she wrestled it to a halt by the roadside. Her hands trembled. The camera had flown into the footwell. Her heart pounded like a drumbeat in her ears. She scrambled into the back seat. Mila, baby, talk to me." The little girl whimpered, clutching her head. Her forehead had a red mark. Her lip was bleeding slightly. Tears welled in Sierra's eyes. "Oh my God, no, 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 no." She pulled out her phone, her instinct not to call for help, but to check the footage. Maybe to understand what happened. Maybe to see if it was salvageable. But the screen stared back at her in silent accusation. 100 comments were still visible from the live stream. The last one bold and cruel. Did she forget to buckle her kid? The emergency room smelled like antiseptic and quiet fear. Sierra paced outside the examination room, her glossy nails drumming against her phone, which she hadn't unlocked in over an hour. Inside, Mila lay on a hospital bed with a small bandage across her forehead and a nurse gently applying antiseptic to her lip. "She's lucky," the pediatrician had said earlier. "Could have been much worse if she wasn't light or if the seat had been any lower. You should always make sure she's properly buckled in." Sierra had nodded numbly. She hadn't cried yet. Not properly. Not until the doctor had walked away and she was alone in the hallway with the weight of her own silence. And the guilt. Oh, the guilt was louder than any hate comment could ever be. She finally opened her phone. 324 missed notifications. Text, calls, DMs, mentions, news alerts. One of the trending hashtags, influencer negligence. Unfit mom? Mila deserves better. Her heart sank. She clicked on the latest post from a gossip blog. Popular momfluencer Sierra James goes live while driving toddler injured in on-camera accident. Disturbing footage shows child flung forward due to improperly fastened seatbelt. Viewers are outraged. Sponsors are pulling out. Sierra's hands began to tremble. She opened the video against her better judgment. The moment replayed in awful HD detail. Her voice excited and carefree. Mila, quiet in the back. The sudden screech. The scream. The sound of impact. Then, blackness. The clip had already been re-uploaded hundreds of times. Later that night, Mila lay asleep in the hospital bed, breathing softly. Sierra sat beside her, holding her tiny hand. She spoke to her, even though she couldn't hear. "I'm so sorry, baby. I wasn't paying attention. I should have. I should have just been your mom, not your content." Her phone buzzed again. A message from Reed, her manager. "We need to talk. Sponsors are furious. Remove the live stream now. Apologize immediately. And whatever you do, don't go silent." Another message from her mother. "Why were you even filming while driving? That child could have died, Sierra. She's your daughter, not your follower count." Tears filled her eyes. She clicked delete on the video. Then again and again, as she scrolled through other clips, each one more irrelevant now than ever. This wasn't a moment to spin. This wasn't PR. This was her daughter's life. The next day, Sierra sat at the foot of the hospital bed. Mila had been cleared for discharge with a mild concussion and bruises. She was smiling again, but the damage couldn't be undone with Band-Aids. Sierra held her close, wrapped in a soft blanket, as she set up the camera one last time. Not for content, not for branding, but to confess. "Hi, I'm Sierra. Most of you know me as a lifestyle content creator and mom, but right now, I just want to speak as a mother who made a terrible mistake." She took a deep breath. "Yesterday, I was live streaming while driving. I was distracted. I failed to properly buckle my daughter in, and because of that, she got hurt. It's not just a bad moment or a clip I can edit out. It's real, and I take full responsibility." She paused, looking down at Mila's hand in hers. No brand deal or view count is worth more than her safety. I lost sight of that, and I'm sorry. Not just to my followers, but to my daughter, and to every parent out there who looked up to me. Her voice cracked. I'm logging off for a while. Maybe for good. Because before I'm an influencer, I'm a mother, and I need to be better at that. She ended the recording and didn't check the views. She posted it with a simple caption. No filters, no excuses, just the truth. Then she shut the app. That night, Sierra didn't film Mila's bedtime. She didn't photograph their dinner. She didn't even reach for her phone as they cuddled in bed, listening to soft lullabies. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel the pressure to perform, just the weight of being presented, the quiet, painful journey of trying to heal. A week later, Sierra stood at the kitchen sink, staring blankly at the stream of water running over her hands. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of cartoons in the background. Mila was curled up on the couch, recovering well, a pink bandage still visible above her eyebrow. Sierra hadn't posted a single thing since the apology video. No stories, no aesthetic photos, no brand plugs, just silence. And the internet had filled it with opinions. Her follower count had dropped by almost 250, 0 in 3 days. Former fans turned critics flooded her last post. So glad she finally said something, but it's too little too late. A kid could have died. She's crying now because her wallet is hurting. Being a mom is not a brand, Sierra. Every time Sierra read the comments, her stomach twisted. She had built her world on the internet, brick by glossy brick content, hashtags, filters, likes. Now those bricks were crashing down on her, and it hurt more than she had expected. Later that day, Reed, her manager, called again. She stared at his name for a full minute before finally picking up. Sierra, he said, voice firm. We need to talk. We're bleeding sponsorships. I figured, she replied flatly. 3 of your top deals have pulled out. The baby skincare brand sent a legal notice. The energy drink collab is canceled. And the app launch for the mommy tracker? They've gone with another influencer. Sierra didn't respond. Look, I'm not saying you're canceled, okay? Reed continued. But you're radioactive right now. People don't trust the momfluencer image anymore. I'm not that image anymore, she whispered. Reed paused. Then what are you? Sierra didn't know how to answer. A few days later, Sierra and Mila sat on a picnic blanket in their backyard. The spring breeze was light, and the grass was freshly mowed. No ring lights, no cameras, just sandwiches and juice boxes. Do you want to take a picture? Mila asked, looking up innocently. Sierra smiled. Not today. Why not? Because. I want to remember this with my heart, not a screen. Mila nodded and took a bite of her sandwich. I like that better. For the first time in what felt like forever, Sierra felt a sense of peace, a whisper of who she had once been, long before her life had been filtered and monetized. But peace didn't last long. That night, a new post surfaced from a parenting forum. A mother who had once collaborated with Sierra posted screenshots of old messages where Sierra had pushed Mila into shoots, even when she was tired or sick. Whether true or taken out of context, the damage was immediate. More accounts reshared the post. Think pieces followed. YouTubers posted reaction videos. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about one mistake. It was a pattern. A question of who Sierra really was behind the curated lens. One morning, Sierra woke up to an email from Child Protective Services. A formal inquiry had been filed. Her hands went cold. Though it was only a preliminary investigation triggered by anonymous online reports, it was still real. Someone out there believed she might be unfit to raise her own daughter. She sat on the edge of the bed, paralyzed. When Mila wandered in with her favorite book and asked, "Can you read this to me?" Sierra choked on her reply. "Of course, baby." She pulled her daughter close, trying to read the words through the tears, silently trailing down her cheek. Over the following weeks, Sierra worked to rebuild slowly and quietly. She attended parenting workshops. She started therapy. She gave full access to investigators when they visited, showing them everything, no defenses, no performances. The woman they met was not the one from the headlines. She was just a mother who had made a terrible mistake and was trying desperately to make it right. One day, after observing her interaction with Mila, the caseworker gave her a soft smile. "She's safe, and she clearly loves you. That's the most important thing." It was the first time Sierra had exhaled in weeks. At night, Sierra sat by her desk, staring at a blank journal. For years, she had written for others' captions. Clickbait, captions again. Now she wrote something else. "Dear Mila, you may never remember the road trip, or the accident. But I will. Not because of the views or the headlines, but because it was the moment I realized what matters. You. Not followers, not fame, not the illusion of perfection, just you. And I will spend the rest of my life earning back your trust." She closed the journal, tears dotting the page. The weeks turned into months. Spring melted into early summer. And for the first time in years, Sierra's days were slow, unscripted, and quiet. She no longer checked view counts with her morning coffee. Her inbox sat mostly untouched, and she ignored the occasional urgent email about collaborations or interviews. Instead, her mornings began with warm pancakes, hair tangled in a loose bun, and the sound of Mila giggling in the hallway. There was no camera to catch these moments, and no desire to bring one out. One afternoon, Sierra sat on the porch with a cup of tea, while Mila played in the garden with a watering can nearly half her size. The sun dappled through the trees, and the breeze carried the scent of lavender and rain-soaked earth. Sierra opened her journal again. This time, not to write apologies or promises, but gratitude. "Today, Mila told me she wants to grow a magic flower that only listens to kind words. She whispered to the seeds before burying them in the dirt. She told me, the flower won't grow if I yell at it, Mommy." I think I needed to hear that more than the flower did. The world outside hadn't stopped talking, of course. The internet moved on, but not completely. Her name still popped up in discussions about influencer culture and parental responsibility. Every now and then, a blog would mention her as the case study for online parenting gone wrong. But Sierra didn't correct them. Not anymore, because maybe they were right back then. She had built a brand on picture-perfect motherhood, but she had missed the core of it, being present. One morning, Mila toddled into the kitchen holding a drawing crayon lines everywhere, but unmistakably their little house, 2 stick figures holding hands. "That's you," Mila said, pointing at the taller one. "And that's me. And this is our safe bubble." Sierra smiled. "Safe bubble? It's what the counselor said we have now." Sierra knelt beside her. "Do you feel safe, baby?" Mila nodded. "You don't film me anymore. I like that." The truth, spoken so gently, still hit like a wave. Sierra kissed her daughter's forehead. "I'm glad. That's all I want." Later that evening, Sierra sat with her phone in her hands, debating. She hadn't posted in months. Part of her had considered deleting her account permanently, but another part, a quieter, humbler one, wondered if maybe it could be used differently now. She opened the camera. No makeup, no lights, no captions. Just her. "Hi, I don't know who's still here. Maybe no one. That's okay. I just wanted to say, I'm healing. Slowly, quietly, off camera. And I think that's what I needed all along." She ended the video and posted it without a filter. No hashtags, no music. No call to action. Just truth. To her surprise, the comments that trickled in weren't venomous this time. They were gentle. "I'm still here, and I'm proud of you. Took a lot to come back without the mask. Respect. Healing off camera is the best kind." Sierra didn't feel a rush of validation. She felt grounded. And that was better. One weekend, she and Mila went back to Crystal Lake Resort not to film. Not to stage, but just to be. They walked hand in hand by the water. Mila tossed pebbles into the lake, and Sierra sat beside her, watching the ripples spread. No ring lights, no reels, just the sound of wind in the trees and her daughter's laughter echoing through the quiet. And for the first time since the accident, Sierra no longer felt like a fallen influencer or a disgraced mother. She just felt like a mom, exactly where she was supposed to be. A year had passed. Not a year of perfectly planned content or brand deals, but a year of messy, beautiful, unfiltered living. Sierra stood at the mirror in her bedroom, tying back her hair before heading out to volunteer at a local community center. Every Tuesday morning, she helped run a parenting support group. Nothing formal, just a circle of tired, honest moms sitting on folding chairs with coffee and real stories. Stories without filters, without pressure, without scripts. She had thought people wouldn't show up, but they came. Because authenticity, it turned out, was rarer than perfection. In that little room with squeaky floors and cheap plastic toys, Sierra met moms who had also struggled. Moms who had worked double shifts and forgot to pack lunch. Moms who had yelled and instantly regretted it. Moms who had failed, apologized, and tried again. And they all saw each other truly, not through screens, but soul to soul. Sierra never spoke as an expert, only as someone who had once lost herself in the illusion of having it all together and had paid dearly for it. They listened when she told her story, not the internet version, but the whole, aching truth. And somehow, that became her new platform. Mila was thriving. She ran barefoot in the grass, loved bedtime stories again, and didn't flinch when someone mentioned seatbelts or road trips. Sierra made sure of that. They took car safety classes together. She even hosted a local event on digital parenting with no sponsors, just intention. People asked her often, "Will you ever go back to content creation?" Her answer never changed. Only if it serves her future, not mine. One crisp fall afternoon, Sierra sat down to write a letter not for the internet, but for Mila, to read one day when she was old enough to understand. My sweet girl, the world once knew me as someone who shared every part of our life. But the most important moments, like holding your hand in the hospital, hearing you say you feel safe again, and choosing to live in the quiet, those were never filmed. They were just for us. And they changed me. You saved me, Mila, by showing me that love isn't loud. It's present. Always. Love, Mom. She folded it gently and placed it in a keepsake box beside Mila's favorite drawing of their safe bubbled. That night, she logged into her old account, not to post, but to delete the app. Before she did, she scrolled one last time, through old videos, perfectly lit photos, and captions designed to impress. Then she reached the post with her apology video, the turning point. It had been viewed millions of times now, still shared, still discussed. But Sierra didn't feel ashamed anymore. She felt grateful, because that moment, the worst day of her life, had led her here. Not back to the top of the internet, but back to herself. As she tucked Mila into bed that evening, the little girl looked up and whispered, "Are you gonna film tomorrow, Mommy?" Sierra smiled. "No, baby, tomorrow I'm just gonna be with you." Mila's eyes sparkled. Good. I like that better. And in the stillness that followed, no clicks, no camera sounds, no curated smiles, Sierra finally understood. This was real influence. Not followers. Not fame. But showing up. Fully. Quietly. Honestly. For the one little life that mattered most. The end. Thank you for watching this powerful story of a mom who lost sight of what truly matters in the race for likes and followers. Sometimes, the most important moments aren't the ones we capture on camera, they're the ones we live fully and protect fiercely. If this story touched you, share it to remind others that real love and presence matter more than any social media spotlight. Always remember, prioritize safety over content. No video or photo is worth risking a child's life or well-being. Always put their safety first, especially when behind the wheel. Being present beats being perfect. Authentic parenting means showing up for your child fully, not just for your audience. Social media isn't real life. Remember that behind every polished post is a real person with struggles and imperfections. It's okay to step back. Taking a break from online platforms to focus on family and healing is a sign of strength, not failure. True influence comes from honesty and growth. Owning your mistakes and learning from them creates deeper connections than any sponsored post ever could.